Welcome back to the channel. Look, today we aren't just looking at good squirrel guns or rattling off a generic top 10 list you could find on Wikipedia. We are going to uncover the hidden engineering truths behind the most iconic .22 rifles in history. We're talking about the machinery, the history, and the engineering secrets that manufacturers usually keep tucked away in the blueprints. We've organized this list to tell a specific story, taking you from the smoky shooting galleries of the 1890s through the trenches of global warfare, all the way to the high-tech precision instruments we use today. If you appreciate honest talk about the steel and wood that built this country, go ahead and hammer that subscribe button. Let's get to work. We're kicking this off with a legitimate time machine. Now, here is something that might blow your mind. This single rifle model likely fired more rounds than the entire US military during the same era. I'm talking about the Winchester Model 1890. Designed by the absolute genius John Moses Browning, this slide-action rifle was the undisputed king of the carnival. Back in the day, these gallery guns ran hundreds of thousands of rounds with barely a wipe down. The secret here is durability through simplicity. You've got that exposed hammer and a pump action that locks up tight and ejects brass with a satisfying snap you can literally feel in your teeth. Why it matters. This rifle taught America how to shoot. It practically embedded the smell of burnt gunpowder into our national DNA. The good, that lightning-fast slide action, plus it has a brilliant takedown design. You can unscrew one knob and the whole thing splits in half for easy transport. The bad. Most of the originals were chambered for .22 short, not long rifle. Also, if something breaks, finding parts is like a treasure hunt where nobody has the map. The cost. For a shootable piece of history, expect to pay between $800 and $2,000. From the carnival, straight to the barracks. The secret behind the Springfield Model 1922 is that it wasn't built to be a typical .22. It was engineered to be a psychological clone of a battle rifle. After World War I, the War Department had a problem. They needed to train soldiers without wasting expensive .30-06 ammo. Springfield's solution? They didn't scale the gun down. They made it heavy. This rifle shares the exact weight, sight radius, and chunky walnut stock as the Model 1903 combat rifle. When you pick this up, your brain screams war, not rabbit hunting. The bolt throw was even engineered to mimic the long action of the service rifle, forcing recruits to run the bolt with authority. Why it matters? It bridged the gap between backyard plinking and national defense, creating the generation of sharpshooters that fought in World War II. The good. Because it's built like a tank, it is an absolute tack driver. The stability is unmatched. The bad. It weighs a ton for a rimfire, and original magazines cost a small fortune. The cost. These are coveted collectibles now. You're looking at $1,500 to over $3,000. Let's jump to an innovation that completely changed the game. The genius of the Browning semi-auto .22 is that it solved the problem of hot brass hitting your buddy in the face by shooting it into your own sleeve instead. John Browning designed this masterpiece in 1914 as the first production semi-auto .22. His big move? Bottom ejection. He realized side ejection ports let in dirt and debris, so he sealed the receiver tight. The empty cases shoot straight down toward your feet. It's elegant, slender, and breaks down into two pieces that fit in a bag the size of a loaf of bread. Why it matters? It proved semi-autos could be reliable and classy. It's a design so perfect it has barely changed in over a century. The good, it's fully ambidextrous and incredibly light. The bad, that bottom ejection. If you hold it wrong, specifically if you cup the forearm too far back, hot brass will drop right into your shirt cuff and leave a burn mark. The cost: quality isn't cheap. A new Grade 1 runs around $720. Now, let's look at the gun that terrified traditional gunsmiths. The Remington Nylon 66 didn't just break the rules, it deleted them. It has no receiver. In the late 50s, Remington did something crazy. They molded the stock and receiver out of a proprietary plastic called Zytel. The steel parts just float inside that polymer shell. People called it a toy until exhibition shooter Tom Fry used them to hit 100,000 wooden blocks with barely a miss. The guns never jammed and didn't need a single drop of oil because the nylon is self-lubricating. Why it matters? This was the grandfather of the Glock. It proved that synthetics belonged in firearms. The good: it weighs just 4 pounds and refuses to rust, freeze, or corrode. The bad: the trigger is squishy because the whole gun flexes when you pull it. Also, if that plastic cracks, you can't really fix it. The cost: discontinued in '89. A beta runs $400, but pristine models can fetch $800 plus. We've seen the innovator. Now let's look at the conqueror. The secret to the Marlin Model 60's success was how they rifled the barrel to take over the world. Marlin invented something called micro-groove rifling. Instead of cutting deep grooves, they pressed 16 tiny, shallow grooves into the barrel with a carbide button. It was faster to make, cheaper to buy, and deformed the bullet less, making these cheap rifles incredibly accurate. Because of this manufacturing hack, Marlin sold over 11 million of them. Why it matters? It democratized accuracy. It proved a working man could buy a tack driver for pocket change. The good: the 14-round tube mag means you never lose a magazine in the tall grass. The bad: reloading that tube is slow, and the action hates dirty ammo. You have to keep it clean. The cost: discontinued in 2020, but you can find them in pawn shops everywhere for $150 to $200. It is the best value on the market, period. And that brings us to the rifle that finally dethroned the Marlin. The magic of the Ruger 1022 is hidden entirely inside the magazine. Bill Ruger styled the 1022 to look like the M1 carbine to appeal to veterans, but the engineering miracle was the rotary magazine. Before this, rimfire rims would lock together and jam constantly in box magazines. Ruger built a rotor inside the box that separates every single round. It feeds flawlessly every time. Why it matters? This is the Lego set of the gun world. You can swap the barrel, trigger, stock, and bolt with just an Allen wrench. The good: legendary reliability and infinite aftermarket support. If you can dream it, you can build it. The bad: the factory trigger is gritty and the bolt release is annoying until you modify it. The cost: street prices hover near $280 to $300. Let's fast forward to the modern tactical era. The secret behind the Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 is that they didn't just convert an AR-15, they built a dedicated 22 from the ground up. Smith & Wesson molded the receivers out of reinforced polymer, designing the internal geometry specifically for the tiny 22 cartridge. It's a blowback system that runs like a sewing machine, but externally, it is a perfect one-to-one clone of a standard M4 carbine. The controls, the feel, the muscle memory, it's all there. Why it matters? It's the ultimate tactical trainer. You can practice drills and reloads for a fraction of the cost of .556 ammo. The good: it accepts standard AR furniture and is super light. The bad: it feels a bit plastic, because it is. and you have to use S&W proprietary magazines. The cost. You'll find them everywhere for $430 to $470. Moving into modern precision on a budget. The Savage Mark II actually revolutionized safety by putting a trigger inside the trigger. They call it the AccuTrigger. That little silver blade you see is a mechanical safety. Unless your finger depresses that blade, the gun cannot fire. This allowed Savage to set the trigger pull incredibly low, crisp and light, while still passing every safety drop test known to man. Why it matters. Savage forced the industry to step up. They proved a budget bolt action could shoot like an Olympic rifle right out of the box. The good. The accuracy to dollar ratio is untouchable. The bad. The stock feels a bit hollow and cheap, like hitting a plastic drum. The cost. The bargain of the century at $200 to $230. How do you keep the Wild West alive when steel gets too expensive? The truth about the Henry Classic lever action is that the receiver isn't quite what it seems. That beautiful black receiver cover? It's a high-tech zinc alloy called Zamac. Inside, there is a steel shell handling the actual pressure. This allowed Henry to cast parts perfectly without expensive machining, creating a lever gun that feels smoother out of the box than rifles costing 3 times as much. Why it matters. Henry proved you can use modern manufacturing to preserve traditional soul. The good. Buttery smooth action and genuine American walnut furniture. The bad. Purists hate the alloy cover, and mounting a scope on these is a bit awkward. The cost. Very accessible. Street price is usually a friendly $350. We end with a current heavyweight champion. The reality of the CZ457 is that this rimfire is built to tighter tolerances than most centerfire deer rifles. Tracing its lineage back to the Czech Republic, CZ treats the 22 LR like a sniper round. The receiver is machined from steel billet, and the barrel is cold hammer forged for insane durability. They also introduced a modular system, letting you swap from 22 LR to 17 HMR in minutes. Why it matters. This rifle destroyed the myth that rimfires are just toys. In precision competition, this is the gold standard. The good. A fast 60-degree bolt throw and heirloom quality. This is a gun you leave to your grandkids. The bad. It's pricey compared to a Savage. The cost. You pay for what you get. The American model runs about $500 to $550. So there you have it. A century of evolution, from the carnival booths of the 1890s to the precision matches of today. The .22 long rifle isn't just a starter caliber. It's a cartridge that has driven some of the most clever engineering in firearms history. I want to know which one of these 10 you trust the most. Let me know in the comments below. If you learned something new about the machinery in your hands today, hit that like button. Stay safe, shoot straight, and we'll see you in the next one.